Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. The amount of talent that flowed out of Adelaide and made its way to the big smoke here in Melbourne in the 60s and 70s was quite astounding. Originally billed as Australia's rock and roll cowboys, this band became a part of Australian history. From stars, one of our finest voices in Australia and one of our most enduring artists. Would you please welcome Mr. Mick Pealing.
How are you?
Come over here. Welcome.
Pleasure to be here.
It is. Isn't it nice audience? Well, what I was saying about Adelaide, every second person I seem to interview came from Adelaide. Mm-hmm. Were your parents from England?
My father was from Liverpool,
right,
and my mother was a Port Adelaidean.
So were you from a musical family?
Pretty much. My dad played guitar and sang, and my mother had a beautiful voice, so there was always a lot of music going on. Probably a lot of people like Sinatra and Tony Bennett and Ella Fitzgerald. Probably the jazz sort of swing
influence.
Yeah.
So the boys that came over from Adelaide, it was stars. Now, take us through the lineup that came over.
The first lineup was just a four-piece. It was we all actually lived in the same neighbourhood, so we were kind of the band started off as like a jam session with local musicians. Mally Stick on lead guitar, Glenn Dowding on drums, and Graham Thompson on bass guitar. Yeah, and that was the first lineup, and all of us had sort of worked a little bit with Andy Durant. Separately and together, and the kind of music that we were playing, we sort of figured that we needed a rhythm guitarist as well, and maybe a bit of help in the songwriting department. So,
and he was here.
We all thought Andy Durant would be the perfect choice.
So he came over.
He came over as well, yeah.
Okay, so you signed to Mushroom, and of course, you had a couple of huge hits.
Yeah, the first was Quick on the Draw. Yeah, well, it was kind of a funny thing. I mean, the term, Australia's rock and roll cowboys. I mean, it was sort of a bit out of our control. We were sort of young guys in Adelaide, and had never been interstate. And we had a manager at the time who probably made a couple of, poor decisions, and having an image, was a big thing for him, and he thought that maybe dress up as cowboys. That's probably going to be a good idea,
Whisper who it was.
Shall I?
No, you can tell us all who your manager was.
Jeff Skews.
Was my manager.
There you go.
Also, your music, I guess, with the cowboy thing, was it to do with the sort of style?
I imagine so. I mean, it was fairly obvious to Jeff that, okay, you're playing sort of a country. At that time, it was more like a Lynyrd Skynyrd kind of boogie.
Yeah, that's right.
Boogie kind of thing. And he sort of put two and two together in his head and said, cowboys. And as I said, we agreed to do that. And it's probably, I don't know, it maybe put us in people's attention more because we had that sort of strong image.
Yeah.
Maybe, but.
And of course, you did with Linda Ronstadt and.
Yeah, but that was a fair bit after that. Though.
After that,
we'd sort of, thrown behind, the cowboy outfits and all that by then. The cowboy outfits were really only a feature for the first two singles. Quick on the Draw, obviously, and With a Winning Hand. And then we soon sort of realised that it really wasn't for us. That strong sort of. Manufactured kind of image,
Wasn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day,
we wanted to be like the Dingoes,
Well, your music, your music stood up by itself anyway, so you didn't really probably need that. But I guess when you first came to Melbourne, that definitely helped. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Mighty Rock. We'll be back soon. Mick Pealing.
Down.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My special guest is Mick Pealing, originally from the Stars, and then there was the Ideals.
The Ideals, yes.
You were a bit of a Spaniard for a while.
With Billy Miller.
With
Yes.
Billy Miller. Actually, I started singing with Billy Miller.
You've.
That's how I started singing.
Oh, that's how you
But
started.
we'll get on.
I actually knew that. Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
We'll get back onto that later on. Let's go back to we were talking about the Stars. You had your first 2 singles out.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Well, there was an album after that. The first album was Paradise, and the first single off that was Mighty Rock.
Mighty Rock. So that was the big one that I remembered. I think.
Yeah.
Was that your biggest?
It was probably our biggest seller. Yeah. I mean, Paradise was a big seller as well. I mean,
well,
I mean, for those days, it sold like over 30,000 or something like that, which was enough.
Really, really good.
It was enough for a gold record, you know. Yeah, by that stage, we'd sort of where we started dressing like roadies.
Like roadies. And of course, with the success of all of those records, you also were able to go on some fantastic tours.
Yeah, we did Australian tours with Joe Cocker, Beach Boys, Linda Ronstadt, ELO. Was a memorable one because I remember they came out here and they were using tapes. You know, they were actually sort of their sound was enhanced by backing tapes.
By backing tapes.
And
that would have been a first.
Everyone was up in arms about it. You know, it was getting headlines. So how dare this band come out here and mime?
It was a fabulous time with the Stars. Unfortunately, a little way along, you lost
Andy, yeah.
Andy Durant. Do you want to tell us? I mean, of course, Andy was very sick.
Yeah, well, he had the melanoma, and he sort of he knew he was crook, but he wouldn't do anything about it. He was sort of scared to find out what it was.
How old was he?
He was 24 when he died.
He was a baby.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, he was just scared to find out, you know, how crook he was, and he finally did go and found out that, you know, he had this incurable sort of disease, you know. So yeah, it sort of all happened within a matter of 12 months, basically.
Well, unfortunately, he passed away, as you said, not long afterward. But what happened after that was you boys formed. What was it like?
Well,
it was a huge concert.
It was a huge concert. It was the Andrew Durant Memorial Concert, and all the proceeds went to the Peter MacCallum Cancer Clinic, where, you know, Andy spent his last days. And it basically came together within a couple of months of Andy passing away. You know, the idea came to us, and Mal, I suppose, was the main instigator.
Mally Stick.
Mally Stick, yeah. And we basically started, you know, putting together names that we thought would suit Andy's songs, and you know, it was pretty obvious. It was all people that we were sort of touring with, and Richard Clapton in particular was one of the first choices, because Andy was actually working with Richard at the time. He was songwriting with him.
Right. So there was Richard Clapton, yourself, of course.
Yes, Ian Moss.
Ian Moss from Cold Chisel.
Jimmy Barnes.
Renee Gayer.
Jim, as he was known back then. Renee Gayer.
Broad.
Broad, yeah.
It was a huge concert. Where was it again?
At the Palais.
At the Palais, that's right. Now that, I believe, has just been...
It's just, well, it's been out for about close to a year now on DVD.
On DVD.
Yeah, with all the bells and whistles. And it's also got a second disc, which is kind of special. I think it's actually stars with Andy performing at Bombay Rock. It's a full concert. And,
filmed in
1901. Probably about. I think it was close to the Land of Fortune launch,
yeah,
which was our second album. So.
So it's a double DVD.
Yeah. I didn't even know this thing existed. You know, like when it was presented to me, you know, I thought, oh yeah, of course. I vaguely remembered doing that.
Someone filming the whole night.
Well, I think it was a Night Move special.
And does the money, the proceeds, still go?
Yes. Yeah.
Is that wonderful, to the Peter MacCallum?
That's right.
So Stars eventually imploded. Is it a good?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're only together for, it was maybe 3.5, maybe 4 years. And we were going to keep going after Andy finished with the band. And, you know, we tried out a couple of replacements. Glyn Mason, for one, was a possibility. And I remember we rehearsed with Glyn, and I mean, it would have been great, but it's sort of a bit vague. I mean, I think, yeah, well, Mal Eastick got a call from Broderick Smith to join the big combo, Broderick Smith's big combo at the time, and he thought it would be a good idea. So after him leaving, it sort of, you know, it sort of fell apart
a bit. But then you went on to form the Ideals?
Was
that after that?
Yeah, pretty much. You know, I mean, I still wanted to keep working, so I just formed a little band with Peter Laffey.
So there was the Ideals, then the Spaniards. So how did this happen with Bill Miller?
Well, the keyboard player who was in the Ideals at the time, Mark Manick, he was good friends with Billy Miller, and it was his idea to put the two of us together to see what would happen.
What would happen?
Yeah. And funnily enough, it worked, you know. So.
I'm only laughing. Of course, Bill Miller was the lead singer in a band called the Ferrets. Do you remember the Ferrets?
Yeah.
The Great Blokes. The Great Blokes. And as I said, you know, I met Bill when I was about 14 or 15, and he's one of the most talented people, but also one of the funniest.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I can't keep a straight face when you talk about the Spaniards. I hate to think of what it was like backstage. There've just been these lineups, fabulous lineups, and you still do some sort of Spaniards gigs every now and then?
Yeah, we had a reunion just recently at the Corner Hotel, and it was a great night, you know. And we did a CD just recently as well, which is available on, you know, our website.
Through the website?
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's just called The Spaniards, yeah. And it's got about a dozen songs on it, all recorded at Billy's studio.
Fantastic.
And it's, you know, good stuff.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'd like to talk about the couple of other bands that you've always got at least a couple of bands on the go, and a couple of duos. So we'll take a short break and be back with Mick Pealing. Welcome back to Wrokdown. My guest this evening is Mick Pealing. So we're up. We've had the Spaniards.
Yes.
And you've got a CD out called The Spaniards. No other title.
Just well, it's just Spaniards. There's no the. It was never a the.
Okay, so you can go to the website, which is
mickpealing.com.au.
Gorgeous. Now I know that for years now you've been working on a duo.
Oh, look,
Trio.
I work with Gary Young a lot. Not the drummer from Daddy Cool, Gary Young, the younger
Gary Young. Yeah.
And he and I sort of do various sort of lineups. You know, we do a full band sometimes, but mainly we do a lot of acoustic sort of shows. You know, he and I and Steve Wade.
Beautiful singer, Steve Wade.
Beautiful singer, and it's just the three of us, 3 acoustic guitars, lots of harmony. We do, you know, we do a lot of the Stars stuff. And,
yep. And of course, Gary, for years, was the singer in Scarecrow.
Scarecrow, yeah.
Fabulous Melbourne band.
John Cougar Mellencamp tribute band. It was a great band. And yeah, we just play around at the different venues, and we have a great time.
Can you tell me about, is it New Brit?
Raw Brit.
Raw Brit?
Yeah, that's going way back to my roots, because I mean, the band is like it's a tribute band sort of. We do like English hard rock. We do, you know, Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin and Free and Bad Company, and that just goes way back to the stuff I was listening to, you know, as a you know, early teenager. And Bob Spencer's in the band.
Bob Spencer
on guitar, who was in the Angels and Skyhooks.
Skyhooks for a while.
And back further, Finch.
Wow.
Peter Maslin on the drums, who's with Boom Crash Opera.
Mm-hmm.
And the bass player Jason Voorher, who plays with LRB and Glenn Shorrock and all sorts of different acts, you know. And it's just a really, really good band.
So
really loud and full on, you know.
Really loud. Where do you play?
Well, we
Corner? Have you done the Corner?
We haven't done the Corner. We did Spencer's a couple of weeks ago.
That's a great venue.
That's a good venue, yeah. And we do. We did Kites out in Brighton.
Yep.
And we've done Capers a couple of times. When's that coming back?
Gorgeous Capers got flooded.
It did.
Well, I don't know, but let's hope it does, because there's not nearly enough fabulous venues like that where you can go and do great acoustic gigs. So we can see
Raw Brit.
Mm-hmm. If we go onto the website and find out
where
you're playing.
Yeah. Pealing, Wade and Young.
Pealing, Wade and Young. And tonight you are actually going to do a couple of songs for us. And where is the gorgeous Gary Young?
Dark over there, isn't it?
He's out having a cup of tea with gorgeous Gary Young. So he will be with us in 1 second. And we'd like to thank you, Mick, for coming on to Wrokdown tonight. And Mick's going to take us out with a couple of songs, or a song. Yep.
Look forward to it.
Which is?
We'll do Back Again, which is on my CD, Precarious.
Thank you very much for watching Wrokdown, and Mick will take you out. Here's Gary.
Yes, I'm back again. Now what did you see? Where have you been? Well, out on highway number 41, where the land gets dry, ain't nothing but rocks and a long hot road, heads of blue sky. There's a place I know where time goes slow. They don't stop there no more. You can sit right down and watch the world go rolling by your door. I'm back again. Yes, I'm back again. Now what did you see? Where have you been? Well, I worked on the land way out west. I dug for diamonds and gold in a fishing boat. Down along the coast, I couldn't get used to the cold. I've been to and from that old town ever since I was 10. But every place that I found, it made me wanna go back again. I'm back again. Yes, I'm back again. Now what did you see? Where have you been? Well, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back again. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I'm back again. There was a time when I thought there was nothing I couldn't take. I packed my bags and never to return are gonna be the final break. Was doing okay, but then one day I came across a great north wind. It picked me up, turned me around, and blew me back again. Back again. see where